There are no urgent tasks waiting for you, no messages to answer, and no deadlines to meet. The world beyond this moment can wait until morning. For now, allow yourself to settle into comfort. Take one slow, gentle breath in, and let it drift softly away. Perhaps your shoulders loosen just a little. Perhaps your thoughts begin to slow. If they continue to wander, that is perfectly all right. Simply let them pass like clouds across a quiet summer sky, always returning your attention to the gentle rhythm of this story. Tonight, we travel not to a place of grand battles or famous kings, but to a quieter corner of history. Our destination is a medieval castle in the heart of England, sometime during the middle of the 13th century. Nearly 800 years separate your world from this one. The roads are unpaved. The nights are truly dark. Candles and hearth fires are the only lights after sunset. Most people have never traveled farther than a day's walk from where they were born. Yet life here has its own quiet rhythm, one shaped not by clocks, but by the rising and setting of the sun, the ringing of church bells, and the changing of the seasons. The castle before you is neither the largest nor the richest in the kingdom. It is simply home. Its tall stone walls have stood for generations. Their rough gray surfaces are softened by climbing ivy that has slowly found its place over countless summers. For sturdy towers watch over the surrounding countryside. Beyond the walls stretch fields of barley and wheat, dotted here and there with sheep grazing peacefully beneath the open sky. A narrow river winds through the valley, reflecting the pale moonlight like a ribbon of polished silver. Everything feels still. The castle sleeps. Most windows are dark. Only a handful glow faintly with the warm light of dying candles. Somewhere inside, a guard quietly walks along the battlements, his footsteps softened by worn leather boots against ancient stone. A sleepy stable horse shifts its weight. An owl calls from the nearby woods. Then silence returns once more. This is the hour before dawn. The world seems to pause, balanced gently between yesterday and today. You are not a knight. You are not a noble. You are not a servant rushing through endless halls. You are the castle gardener. It is humble work. Quiet work. Work that few people notice. And yet, without your care, much of the castle's daily life would quietly begin to unravel. The herbs you grow ease fevers and soothe aching stomachs. The vegetables feed the kitchens. The flowers brighten the halls and chapel. The fruit trees provide sweet harvests at the end of summer. Every leaf, every seed, every blossom depends upon patient hands. Those hands are yours. Your cottage rests just beyond the castle's inner wall. It is small, built from timber with a roof thickly covered in straw. Smoke no longer rises from the chimney. The fire burned low during the night, leaving only glowing embers beneath a blanket of soft gray ash. Inside, the room is simple, a wooden stool, a sturdy table marked with years of careful use, shelves holding clay pots filled with dried herbs collected during previous summers. Bundles of lavender hang upside down from the rafters, filling the room with a gentle fragrance that has lingered through every season. Nearby, rosemary dries beside bunches of thyme. Mint leaves wait in woven baskets. A small window, covered by wooden shutters, allows the first faint hint of dawn to enter. Your bed is nothing more than a wooden frame filled with straw beneath a wool blanket. Comfortable enough, warm enough. The world outside remains wonderfully quiet. Slowly, you wake. Not because of an alarm. There are no clocks here. Instead, Years of habit guide you gently into another day. You sit up slowly, listening. The silence tells its own story. No rain taps upon the roof. No wind shakes the walls. It promises fair weather. That is welcome news for any gardener. You dress carefully in simple linen clothing beneath a thick wool tunic. Nothing is hurried. Nothing needs to be. Every movement has become familiar through thousands of mornings just like this one. Leather boots wait beside the door. You lace them carefully. Their soft creases tell of years spent walking narrow garden paths in muddy fields. A small wooden cup sits upon the table. You pour cool water from an earthen jug and take a slow drink. The water carries the fresh taste of the nearby spring. Cold, clean, refreshing. Outside, darkness begins to soften. The eastern horizon glows with the faintest touch of silver. Birdsong has not yet begun. Even the sparrows still sleep. You lift a simple lantern from its hook. The candle inside burns quietly, casting warm circles of golden light upon the floor. Opening the cottage door, you step into the cool morning air. Immediately, you notice the scent. Fresh earth. Tiny drops of dew cover every blade of grass. Each one catches the lantern's light like a tiny crystal before disappearing into darkness again. Your footsteps make almost no sound. The world feels wrapped in a blanket of calm. Nearby stands the castle itself. Even in darkness, it inspires quiet admiration. Its towers rise confidently against the fading stars. Generations of builders shaped these stones by hand. Each block was cut, lifted, and carefully placed long before you were born. Many who built these walls are long forgotten, yet their work remains. That thought always brings a curious comfort. Human lives are brief. Gardens bloom and fade. Seasons come and go. But some things endure. Stone. Trees. The turning of the earth beneath the heavens. As you walk toward the gardens, a cool breeze brushes gently across your face. It carries the scent of nearby pine woods mixed with distant smoke from cottages in the village beyond the castle. Soon those homes will awaken. Bread ovens will be lit. Children will stir from sleep. Farmers will gather their tools, but not yet. For these few precious moments, the morning belongs only to quiet souls. Ahead, an old wooden gate marks the entrance to the castle gardens. Its hinges creak softly as you push it open. Inside lies your world. Long rows of herbs rest beneath beads of dew. Cabbages sit like green crowns upon dark soil. Carrots grow unseen beneath the earth, patiently waiting for harvest. Peas climb simple wooden frames. Bean vines curl gently around their supports. Near the center stands a small stone fountain. Its water trickles continuously, never hurried, never loud. The sound is almost like gentle breathing. Nearby grows a great oak tree. Its branches stretch wide across the garden, offering welcome shade during summer afternoons. Its roots have rested here longer than anyone can remember. Perhaps 200 years. Perhaps more. No one truly knows. You often wonder how many gardeners have stood beneath its branches before you. How many spring mornings. How many autumn harvests. How many quiet moments exactly like this one. History is not only written in books. Sometimes it lives within old trees. Sometimes within worn stone paths. Sometimes within gardens carefully tended generation after generation. The eastern sky brightens another shade. Now the first robin begins to sing. Just one, a simple melody. Then another answers from somewhere beyond the orchard. Within moments, dozens of voices join together. Blackbirds, thrushes, finches, wrens. The castle slowly awakens to music that has greeted every sunrise for centuries. You smile softly. There is comfort in familiar beginnings. Today will not be extraordinary. No great feast has been planned. No royal visitor is expected. No celebration fills the halls. Instead, today promises something far more peaceful. Watering herbs, checking young seedlings, pruning roses, gathering vegetables for the cook, watching bees drift lazily among blossoms, listening to the wind, feeling the warmth of the afternoon sun. Simple tasks, gentle hours. The kind of day that slips quietly into memory without asking to be remembered. As the first golden rays of sunlight climb above the distant hills, they touch the highest tower of the castle. Stone that was gray only moments before now glows softly with warm amber light. One by one, the rooftops brighten. The windows shimmer. The fountain sparkles. Tiny diamonds of dew cover every leaf and petal. The entire garden seems to awaken with a slow and peaceful breath. You set your lantern aside. Its work is finished. Daylight has arrived. A new day begins, not with noise or haste, but with quiet purpose. And as you take your first slow steps along the winding garden path, surrounded by birdsong, fragrant herbs, and the gentle promise of another peaceful morning, you cannot help but feel that there are few places in the world more tranquil than this small corner of a medieval castle. The first light of morning spreads gently across the eastern sky, not all at once, but in slow layers of soft silver, pale blue, and delicate shades of gold. It is the kind of sunrise that seems in no hurry to begin. As though even the sun understands that the quietest hours deserve to linger a little longer. You pause for a moment at the entrance to the garden. The wooden gate rests comfortably in your hand, its smooth surface worn by countless seasons of use. Small patches of moss have found their way into the cracks, thriving where the wood remains cool and damp through much of the year. Before you stretches the garden, still wrapped in the freshness of dawn. Every leaf glitters with tiny drops of dew. Each droplet catches the growing light for only a heartbeat before becoming simply water once more. Together they create the impression that the earth itself has been sprinkled with thousands of tiny stars. You begin walking along the narrow footpath. The path is made from packed earth mixed with small stones gathered from the nearby river. Years of careful footsteps have made it smooth, and you know every gentle curve without needing to think about it. This path has become as familiar as your own home. You have walked it through spring rains, beneath the blazing summer sun, among the colorful leaves of autumn, and across mornings when frost turned every blade of grass into delicate crystal. Today, however, promises warmth. The air is cool enough to feel refreshing against your skin, yet gentle enough to hint that the afternoon will be pleasant. A robin lands upon a weathered fence post only a few paces away. It watches you with curious dark eyes before tilting its head ever so slightly. After a moment, satisfied that you pose no threat, it returns to its morning song. The melody is simple. Just a handful of notes repeated again and again. Yet somehow, it never grows tiresome. Soon another bird answers from somewhere near the orchard. Then another from the top of the castle wall. Before long, the entire morning seems woven together by birdsong drifting through the cool air. The castle itself is beginning to awaken. Far above, one of the guards slowly crosses the battlements. From this distance, he appears almost like a shadow moving along the ancient stone. His duties have lasted through the long night. Soon another guard will replace him, allowing him to enjoy breakfast and perhaps a little sleep before evening comes once again. Life inside a castle is full of quiet routines. Every person has a role. The blacksmith will soon light his forge. The baker will knead fresh dough. The cook will begin preparing breakfast. The stable hands will brush the horses. The servants will sweep great halls where yesterday's footprints have gathered. No single task seems especially grand, yet together they keep the castle alive. You continue toward the herb garden, one of your favorite places within the walls. Unlike the vegetable beds, arranged in neat rows, the herbs grow in carefully planned circles and winding patterns. Some are planted close together because they help one another flourish. Others are kept apart, as generations of gardeners have discovered they prefer their own space. Here grows lavender, its narrow leaves carrying a calming fragrance that lingers in the morning air. Nearby stands rosemary, sturdy and evergreen, refusing to lose its color even through the coldest months of winter. Sage spreads low across the soil, its soft gray-green leaves almost inviting your hand to brush gently across them. Mint grows with cheerful enthusiasm wherever it is allowed, filling the air with a fresh scent whenever the breeze passes by. You kneel beside a cluster of thyme. Its tiny leaves sparkle beneath the dew. You reach out carefully, not to harvest, but simply to inspect. No insects have damaged the stems. The roots appear healthy. Everything is growing exactly as nature intended. That quiet satisfaction is one of the simple rewards of gardening. There are no cheers, no applause, only the silent happiness of seeing life continue. Nearby, several bees have already begun their work. Despite the cool morning air, they move steadily from blossom to blossom. Their gentle humming blends perfectly with the birds overhead. Without the bees, many flowers would never produce seeds. Without flowers, there would be fewer fruits. Without fruit, the orchard would slowly grow silent. Every living thing depends upon another in ways that are easy to overlook. You have learned this lesson many times over. The garden teaches patience. It teaches observation. Above all, it teaches humility. No gardener commands the earth. One can only work alongside it. You rise slowly and continue walking toward the small stone fountain at the center of the garden. Water flows continuously from the mouth of a carved lion, spilling gently into a round basin worn smooth by centuries. The sound is soft, steady, never changing. Many mornings you find yourself standing here longer than necessary, simply listening. Flowing water has a curious way of quieting busy thoughts. You dip your fingers into the cool basin. The water is fresh, drawn from an underground spring that has supplied the castle for generations. Even in the hottest days of summer, it remains pleasantly cold. Small swallows dart gracefully above the fountain. They twist and turn through the air with effortless precision, catching tiny insects almost too quickly for the eye to follow. Watching them always fills you with quiet admiration. They ask nothing of the world except open skies and enough insects to sustain them. In return, they fill the morning with graceful flight. The eastern sky has now become bright enough that the stars have disappeared completely. Only the pale moon remains visible, fading little by little against the growing daylight. Sunlight reaches farther into the garden. It touches the tops of the bean poles. It warms the broad leaves of the cabbage patch. It paints the stone walls with soft shades of honey and amber. The castle seems less imposing now than it did beneath the darkness. Its high towers no longer stand as stern guardians, but instead appear almost welcoming, wrapped in golden light. From somewhere inside the kitchens comes the faint smell of fresh bread beginning to bake. The scent drifts lazily through an open window. Warm wheat dotwood smoke, a touch of honey. The aroma reminds you that breakfast is not far away, though there is still much to do before the meal. You glance toward the orchard beyond the herb beds. The apple trees stand quietly in orderly rows. Their branches sway ever so slightly in the morning breeze. Small green apples have begun to form, still weeks away from ripening. Patience, you remind yourself. Nature is never hurried. The sweetest harvest always belongs to those willing to wait. As you continue along the winding path, you notice a tiny snail making its slow journey across a flat stone. Its shell glistens with moisture. It moves so gradually that, were you not paying attention, you might believe it stood perfectly still. Yet every few moments it advances another tiny distance. You smile. Even the smallest creatures have their own destinations. There is something comforting about sharing the morning with such quiet companions. Nothing here rushes. Nothing competes. The garden simply exists, growing one leaf at a time, one blossom at a time, one sunrise after another. You take a deep breath. The cool air fills your lungs with the mingled scents of earth, herbs, damp stone, and fresh grass. It is a fragrance that changes slightly with every season, yet always feels like home. Beyond the walls, the village is finally stirring. A rooster crows somewhere in the distance. A dog answers with a lazy bark. The faint ringing of the chapel bell drifts across the valley, marking the beginning of another ordinary day. Inside the castle, doors begin to open. Footsteps echo faintly through the courtyards. Voices, still hushed with sleep, carry briefly upon the morning breeze before fading once more. The world is waking gently, just as it has done for centuries. You rest your hand upon the smooth handle of your wooden watering pail, ready to begin the first true task of the day. The herbs have welcomed the sunrise. The birds have sung their morning greetings. The castle has opened its eyes. Morning has now fully arrived, though it is still the quiet kind of morning that belongs to those who greet the day before most others have finished their first meal. The sun has climbed only a little above the distant hills, and its light remains soft and golden. Long shadows stretch across the garden paths, painted by rows of herbs, fruit trees, and the ancient stone walls that have watched over this place for centuries. You rest your hand upon the smooth wooden handle of your watering pail. It is made of sturdy oak, carefully shaped by the castle carpenter many years ago. Time has polished the wood until it feels almost silky beneath your fingers. Tiny scratches and darker patches tell the story of countless mornings much like this one. Every gardener has carried such a pail. Some belong to your father, others to gardeners whose names have long since been forgotten. Yet their quiet work continues through the tools they left behind. With unhurried steps, you begin walking toward the old well. The garden path curves gently between neat beds of vegetables. The broad leaves of cabbage catch the morning light, their rounded shapes holding tiny pearls of dew that sparkle for a few brief moments before disappearing into the warming air. Young onions stand proudly in straight rows, their slender green tops swaying ever so slightly whenever the breeze passes by. Nearby, carrots remain hidden beneath the soil, content to grow unseen. Much of a gardener's work is like that. The most important things often happen beneath the surface, invisible to hurried eyes. The earth itself feels alive beneath your boots. It has been turned, cared for, and nourished season after season. Rich brown soil carries the scent of yesterday's rain, even though the sky today is wonderfully clear. You pause beside a small patch of chamomile. Its delicate white flowers have only just begun to open. Tiny golden centers seem almost to smile toward the sun. One day these blossoms will be gathered carefully, dried slowly inside the cottage, and later brewed into calming tea for weary travelers, elderly servants, and children who struggle to sleep. It pleases you to think that something growing so quietly can offer such gentle comfort. The path leads beyond the herb garden and into a small courtyard nestled between the castle's outer wall and the old stable. Here stands the ancient well. It is older than anyone living inside the castle. Some say it was dug by the very first builders who laid the foundations of these walls. Others believe it existed even earlier, serving a small village that disappeared long before the castle was ever imagined. No one truly knows. History has a habit of softening its oldest stories until certainty fades into gentle mystery. The well is built from great circles of weathered stone. Each block bears the marks of careful hands that shaped it centuries ago. Bright green moss grows in the shaded cracks, thriving where cool moisture lingers throughout the year. Small ferns have found tiny homes between the stones. Nature and craftsmanship have slowly learned to live together here. Above the well stands a sturdy wooden frame supporting a thick beam of oak dot. An iron pulley hangs quietly overhead. Its wheel is worn smooth from thousands upon thousands of turns. The rope wrapped around it has been replaced many times over the generations. Yet the pulley itself continues faithfully, asking for nothing except occasional drops of oil from the blacksmith. You reach for the rope. Its coarse fibers feel familiar against your palms, strong, reliable. You have performed this same motion so many times that your hands know it without thought. Slowly, you lower the empty bucket into the darkness. The rope slides gently over the pulley with a soft whisper. Down it goes, past cool stone walls, past patches of moss, past tiny roots reaching through narrow cracks. The bucket disappears into shadows. For a moment there is only silence. Then, a quiet splash. The sound echoes upward through the well, followed by small ripples dancing across the hidden water below. You smile. The well is full. That is always comforting. Even after long summers, this deep spring rarely fails. Patiently, you allow the bucket a moment to settle beneath the surface. The cold water fills it naturally. No rushing, no forcing. Simply allowing gravity and time to do their work. It is another lesson the garden teaches. Some things cannot be hurried. After a few moments, you begin pulling the rope back toward you. The bucket rises slowly. Its growing weight reminds you how wonderfully heavy fresh water can be. Your muscles work gently, neither strained nor hurried. The pulley creaks softly overhead. Birds continue singing somewhere beyond the courtyard. Far away, you hear the faint rhythmic sound of the blacksmith's hammer striking metal for the first time today. 1, 3 slow blows, then silence again. The castle is waking one craft at a time. The bucket finally appears above the stone rim. Clear water fills it nearly to the top. Its surface reflects the brightening sky like polished glass. For a moment you pause to admire it. Water is such an ordinary thing, yet without it, nothing in the garden could survive. The herbs, the vegetables dot the orchard, even the great oak tree. All depend upon this simple gift flowing unseen beneath the earth. You pour the water carefully into your wooden pail. The gentle splash is surprisingly satisfying. Tiny droplets catch the sunlight before falling back into the bucket. The cool scent of fresh spring water rises into the air. It carries no fragrance of flowers or herbs. Only the clean, quiet smell of stone and earth. You fill a second bucket, then a third. Enough for the first part of the morning's work. As you prepare to leave, a pair of swallows swoop gracefully overhead. They have built a nest beneath the roof of the nearby stable. Back and forth they fly, carrying tiny bits of straw and soft feathers collected from the fields beyond the castle. Their work is constant, yet never frantic. There is an elegance in their purpose. You watch them for a moment before continuing toward the garden once more. The pails are heavy now, and your pace naturally slows. Each careful step becomes part of a peaceful rhythm. Lift, walk, breathe. The wooden handles rest comfortably in your hands. The water shifts gently with every movement, creating soft ripples that catch the morning light. There is no need to hurry. The plants have waited patiently through the night. They will gladly wait another few quiet moments. As you pass beneath the branches of the great oak, sunlight filters through thousands of fresh green leaves. The light dances upon the ground in moving patterns, changing whenever the breeze stirs the branches above. A squirrel pauses halfway up the trunk, clutching an acorn almost as large as its head. It watches you briefly before disappearing higher into the canopy. The oak is home to countless creatures. Birds build nests among its branches. Beetles hide beneath its bark. Mice gather fallen acorns in autumn. Even the smallest spider finds space to weave delicate webs between the lowest twigs. A healthy garden is never truly empty. Every corner supports another quiet life. You return to the herb beds just as the sunlight begins warming the earth. Already, some of the dew has disappeared. The leaves no longer sparkle quite as brightly as they did at dawn. Instead, they glow with a softer, gentler warmth. You set the pails beside the stone fountain and take another slow breath. The day is unfolding exactly as it should. No surprises. No urgency. Only familiar tasks carried out with steady hands and patient care. Soon you will water each herb, one by one, giving every plant exactly what it needs, no more and no less. It is a simple act, repeated every morning through spring and summer. Yet within that simplicity lies something deeply satisfying. Each bucket poured is a quiet promise to tomorrow. Each drop of water is an investment in future blossoms, fragrant leaves, and abundant harvests. You lift the first watering can and watch the clear spring water shimmer in the sunlight. The herbs wait peacefully before you. Lavender, sage, rosemary, thyme, mint, each with its own character. Each with its own quiet beauty. And with the morning now fully awake, you begin the gentle work of caring for them, one careful pour at a time. The castle continues to stir beyond the garden walls, but here, among the scent of herbs and the soft songs of birds, time still seems to move at the calm, unhurried pace of nature itself. And it is here, in this peaceful rhythm of water, earth, and growing things, that the heart of a gardener's day truly begins. The first watering can feel pleasantly cool in your hands. Fresh spring water, drawn only moments ago from the ancient well, rests quietly inside. Tiny ripples dance across its surface as you begin walking toward the nearest herb bed. The morning has settled into its gentle rhythm. The birds no longer sing all at once as they did at sunrise. Instead, their songs come one by one, woven naturally into the peaceful silence between them. Somewhere above, a lark circles high over the fields beyond the castle walls. Closer by, a blackbird hops confidently across the garden path. Stopping now and then to inspect the earth before continuing on its quiet search for breakfast, you kneel beside the first bed. Here grows lavender. Its slender silver-green leaves reach upward with quiet confidence, while countless tiny purple blossoms sway ever so gently in the breeze. Even before your hands touch the plant, its fragrance greets you. Soft, sweet, calming. The scent seems to slow your breathing without asking. Many inside the castle love lavender. The lady of the castle keeps small bundles inside wooden chests where fine clothing is stored. The fragrance helps freshen wool and linen through the long months of winter. The chambermaids often tuck dried sprigs beneath pillows, believing peaceful scents encourage restful sleep. Even the monks from the nearby priory occasionally request lavender to mix into simple oils, used for soothing tired muscles after long days of labor. You pour the water slowly. The dark soil accepts every drop without complaint. There is no rushing, no splashing. Only the quiet sound of water disappearing into thirsty earth. You know from experience that herbs prefer patience. Too much water can be as harmful as too little. Gardening is often less about doing more and more about knowing when enough is enough. You move to the next bed. Rosemary stands taller than the lavender, its woody stems supporting narrow evergreen leaves that seem almost unchanged by the passing seasons. Even in winter, rosemary keeps much of its color. It reminds you that some plants carry summer within them all year long. Its scent is sharper than lavender. Fresh, pine-like, almost reminiscent of the forest stretching beyond the valley. The castle cook values rosemary greatly. It flavors roasted meats, hearty stews, and warm loaves of bread served during feast days. A single sprig can transform an ordinary meal into something memorable. You have often wondered how such small leaves can carry such remarkable flavor. Nature enjoys quiet surprises. As you water the rosemary, several honeybees drift lazily among the blossoms. Their bodies shimmer faintly in the sunlight. Each bee follows its own invisible path from flower to flower, collecting nectar with patient determination. You never disturb them. Instead, you pause and watch. Their work is every bit as important as your own. Without them, many of the garden's blossoms would never become seeds. Without seeds, next year's garden would never begin. It is easy to forget how much depends upon creatures so small. The garden remembers. Every season tells the same story. Next comes sage. Its broad, velvety leaves invite the touch of your fingertips. They are softer than they appear, covered in tiny silvery hairs that catch the light like morning frost. Sage has earned great respect over the centuries. The castle healer often asks for fresh leaves to prepare simple remedies. Some are brewed into warm drinks. Others are crushed into pastes applied to small cuts or insect bites. While no herb can cure every illness, people trust the quiet comfort they provide. Perhaps part of their healing comes from the care with which they are gathered. You gently remove a single yellowing leaf from one plant. It has reached the end of its life. The rest remain healthy and vibrant. One small act of care allows the plant to spend its strength on new growth instead. Much of gardening consists of noticing little things before they become larger problems. The greatest gardeners are not always the busiest. Often, they are simply the most observant. A cool breeze stirs through the garden. The leaves rustle softly together. It has remained unchanged through generations. Long before this castle stood, wind moved through leaves just as it does now. Long after today's gardeners are gone, it will continue. Some rhythms belong not to people, but to the earth itself. You continue toward the patch of time. Its tiny leaves spread low across the ground, forming fragrant cushions of green. Walking too carelessly could damage it, so you step carefully between the narrow paths laid out. Years ago, by gardeners who understood the importance of protecting delicate plants. Tiny white blossoms attract dozens of insects. Small butterflies flutter lightly from flower to flower, their wings opening and closing like living petals. The sight brings a quiet smile. Butterflies never seem hurried. They drift wherever the breeze carries them, trusting the morning to unfold as it should. As you water the thyme, the fragrance rises immediately, warm, earthy, almost sweet. The scent mingles with lavender and rosemary until the entire herb garden becomes a gentle cloud of natural perfume. You breathe deeply. There are few places in the castle that smell as peaceful as this. The kitchens offer warm bread. The chapel carries traces of incense and beeswax candles. The stable smells of hay and horses. Each place has its own character. But the herb garden carries the scent of quiet mornings and patient hands. Nearby grows mint. Unlike the other herbs, mint seems eager to explore. Its roots spread enthusiastically beneath the soil, always searching for new places to grow. If left unattended, it would gladly take over much of the garden. For that reason, you keep it within carefully bordered beds. Its cheerful nature requires gentle guidance. You smile at the thought, even plants have personalities. Some stand tall and orderly. Others wander wherever they please. The mint releases its cool fragrance the moment your hand brushes against a leaf. Fresh, bright, almost sparkling. The scent reminds you of cool streams running beneath shaded trees during the hottest days of summer. The castle's children often ask for mint leaves to chew after meals. The healer sometimes mixes it into soothing drinks. Travelers appreciate its refreshing taste after long journeys on dusty roads. Simple herbs quietly touch many lives. As you work your way through each bed, the sun climbs steadily higher. Its warmth begins drying the remaining dew. Tiny spiders emerge from hidden corners to repair delicate webs stretched between wooden stakes. A ladybird crawls across one broad sage leaf before lifting into the air once more. Everywhere you look, life moves with calm purpose. No creature appears to waste the morning. Yet none seem hurried either. The castle bell rings gently in the distance. Its deep tone rolls across the gardens before fading into silence. Breakfast has likely begun inside the great hall. Fresh bread. Porridge. Cheese. Perhaps smoked fish brought from the nearby river. You know that after finishing your work here, you too will enjoy a simple meal. There is comfort in honest hunger earned through quiet labor. You set down the now empty watering can beside the fountain. Only a few drops remain inside, glistening in the sunlight. Looking back across the herb beds, you notice how the leaves seem brighter than before. Not because they have changed greatly in these few moments, but because they have been cared for. Sometimes care itself changes the way we see things. The herbs stand peacefully beneath the growing morning light. Lavender, rosemary, sage, thyme. Mint, each nourished, each ready to continue another day of quiet growth. You rest your hands upon the smooth wooden handle of the watering can and allow yourself one final slow breath. The fragrance surrounding you is richer now than when the morning began. It carries hints of earth, fresh water, flowers, and warm sunlight. This simple corner of the castle may never appear in songs or royal records. No chronicler will write of a morning spent watering herbs. Yet without mornings like this, castles could not truly thrive. Behind every feast stood a garden. Behind every healing remedy stood a carefully tended herb bed. Behind every peaceful home stood countless quiet hands doing ordinary work with extraordinary patience. Satisfied that the herbs have received exactly what they need, you glance toward the orchard beyond the low stone wall. Rows of apple and pear trees sway gently in the breeze, their leaves shimmering beneath the late morning sun. Soon it will be time to walk among their branches, listening to the hum of bees and the whisper of leaves. As another peaceful chapter of your day unfolds beneath the wide medieval sky, leaving the quiet fragrance of the herb garden behind, you make your way along a winding path that leads toward the orchard. The sun has climbed a little higher now, though it is still early enough that the air carries a pleasant coolness. A light breeze drifts across the castle grounds, stirring the leaves of the ancient oak before continuing toward the rows of fruit trees waiting beyond. The orchard rests in a gentle corner of the castle grounds, sheltered by a low stone wall on one side and overlooked by the southern tower on the other. Unlike the formal herb beds, where every plant grows in neat order, the orchard feels freer. The trees stand in carefully planned rows, yet each has shaped itself according to its own nature. Some spread their branches wide, reaching outward like welcoming arms. Others grow taller, their limbs stretching confidently toward the open sky. Each tree has its own quiet personality, formed over decades of changing seasons. As you step beneath the first apple tree, the sunlight changes. Instead of falling directly upon the ground, it filters through thousands of green leaves, creating moving patterns of light and shadow. The earth beneath your feet feels cooler here. The grass grows thick and soft, fed by years of fallen leaves returning gently to the soil. The orchard has its own scent: fresh grass, warm bark, young fruit. A faint sweetness carried upon the breeze. It is a fragrance that changes almost every month. In spring, the air is filled with blossoms. In summer, growing fruit begins to perfume the garden. Autumn brings the rich aroma of ripe apples waiting to be gathered. Even winter has its own quiet smell, when damp bark and fallen leaves rest beneath blankets of frost. Today belongs to early summer. Tiny apples hang among the branches, each no larger than a walnut. Their smooth green skins shine softly in the morning light. Though still weeks away from ripening, they already hint at the harvest to come. You stop beside the oldest apple tree in the orchard. Its trunk is wonderfully thick, requiring both arms to reach only halfway around it. Deep grooves run through its bark like the wrinkles upon the face of a kindly elder. Moss grows comfortably along its northern side, where the sunlight rarely lingers. One low branch bends almost to the ground before rising again, shaped over many years by wind, snow, and time. You place your hand gently against the rough bark. It feels cool despite the growing warmth of the morning. This tree was already mature when your grandfather first worked these gardens. Perhaps it shaded him just as it now shades you. Perhaps he stood here during peaceful mornings exactly like this one, listening to birds sing while inspecting the growing fruit. There is comfort in knowing that some living things quietly outlast generations. The orchard remembers people long after people forget themselves. A cheerful chirping overhead draws your attention upward. A family of sparrows has built a nest among the higher branches. The parents fly tirelessly back and forth, carrying tiny insects to hungry chicks hidden safely among the leaves. From below, you cannot see the young birds. Only their tiny voices, filled with endless appetite, reveal their presence. Life continues in small, gentle ways all around you. Not every story needs to be grand. Sometimes the quietest stories are the ones most worth noticing. You continue walking between the rows. Here grow pear trees. Their leaves are darker than those of the apples, smooth and glossy beneath the sunlight. Small pears dangle from slender stems, still firm and green. Their weight is hardly enough to bend the branches. In a few months, they will soften into sweet fruit enjoyed during the late harvest. Some will be eaten fresh. Others will be preserved for winter. Nothing in the castle is wasted if it can be helped. The fruit that ripens perfectly will grace the Lord's table. Smaller fruit will find its way into pies and stews. Those with bruises may become cider. Even fallen apples are gathered to feed pigs or enrich the compost that will nourish next year's gardens. Everything has its purpose. The orchard teaches this lesson year after year. As you reach the center of the orchard, you hear a familiar sound, a low, steady humming. Not loud enough to interrupt the silence, just enough to remind you that countless tiny workers have already begun their day's labor. The bees are awake. Near the southern edge of the orchard stand several woven straw bee skeps. Each resembles a large upside-down basket, carefully crafted by village hands during the long evenings of winter. Within them live thousands of honeybees. From sunrise until late afternoon, they travel among flowers gathering nectar and pollen. Their work is quiet, patient, steady. No single bee changes the orchard. Yet together they make the harvest possible. You walk slowly toward the skeps, careful not to disturb their busy inhabitants. Bees rarely trouble those who move calmly. One lands briefly upon a white blossom before lifting away again. Another disappears into the heart of a flower almost entirely, emerging moments later dusted with bright yellow pollen. Watching them has always brought you a sense of peace. They never seem confused about what to do. Each follows a purpose older than memory itself. Perhaps there is wisdom in such simplicity. A gentle breeze passes through the orchard. Thousands of leaves respond together with a soft rustling sound. It is unlike the wind in the herb garden. Here the branches sway overhead, creating a quiet music that rises and falls like slow waves upon a distant shore. You pause simply to listen. No two breezes ever sound exactly alike. Some whisper, some murmur, some almost sing. This one seems content merely to pass through, greeting every tree before continuing toward the fields beyond the castle walls. You notice a fallen branch lying upon the grass. It is not large, likely broken during a storm several weeks ago. The wood has already begun to dry. You bend to pick it up. Nothing in the garden is ignored for long. Later, this branch will become kindling for the cottage fire. Even small pieces of wood are valued. Fuel requires effort to gather, and every dry stick contributes a little warmth when winter returns. Nearby, a pair of rabbits nibble quietly at clover growing near the stone wall. Their long ears twitch at every unfamiliar sound. They notice you almost immediately. For several heartbeats, they remain perfectly still, deciding whether to flee. Recognizing your slow, gentle movements, they return to their breakfast. You smile softly. Over time, the orchard's creatures have come to understand that the gardener means them no harm. Not every visitor enters with the intention of taking. Some simply care for the place all year long. The castle tower bell rings once again. Its deep voice drifts gently across the valley. The sound reminds you how time is measured here. Not by clocks upon walls or watches carried in pockets, but by bells, sunlight, and habit. Morning prayers have ended. The kitchens will now be busy preparing the midday meal. Servants cross the courtyards carrying baskets. Stable hands lead horses into the sunshine. Somewhere beyond the walls, farmers begin cutting hay beneath the warming sky. The castle is fully awake. Yet here among the orchard trees, the pace remains wonderfully unhurried. You inspect each trunk as you pass. Looking closely, you notice patches of pale green lichen growing upon older bark. Far from harming the trees, the lichen simply shares their quiet home, painting the rough wood with delicate patterns that resemble tiny maps. Nature often chooses beauty without any audience. Few people ever stop to admire the lichen, yet it continues growing year after year. Perhaps beauty does not require admiration to exist. Perhaps it is enough simply to be. As you near the far end of the orchard, sunlight pours through a small opening between the branches. Beyond it stretches the castle kitchen garden, where neat rows of onions, carrots, leeks, beans, and cabbage await the day's harvest. Soon the cook will need fresh vegetables for the midday meal. The baskets hanging from your arm are still empty. Not for long, you take one last slow look around the orchard. The apple leaves shimmer softly. The bees continue their patient work. The rabbits disappear into the tall grass. Above, a swallow glides effortlessly across the bright blue sky before vanishing beyond the castle walls. Everything feels balanced. Everything belongs. You offer the oldest apple tree a gentle pat upon its weathered trunk, a quiet gesture of gratitude shared only between gardener and orchard. Then, with steady steps and an easy heart, you leave the cool shade behind and walk toward the vegetable garden, where another peaceful task awaits. Fresh carrots, tender onions, crisp lettuces, and fragrant herbs will soon fill your woven basket, beginning their short journey from rich soil to the warm hearth of the castle kitchen, where simple ingredients become nourishing meals for everyone who calls these ancient walls home. By the time you leave the cool shade of the orchard, the morning has settled comfortably into its middle hours. The sun now hangs a little higher above the castle towers, bathing the stone walls in warm shades of honey and pale gold. The last traces of dew have disappeared from the grass, leaving behind only the fresh scent of growing things gently warmed by the day's first sunshine. You pause at the edge of the kitchen garden. Before you stretch neat rows of vegetables, each planted with care during the spring. Nothing here has appeared by chance. Every row has its purpose. Not every path allows easy movement. Every bed has been planned so that each plant receives enough sunlight, enough rain, and enough room to grow. Generations of gardeners have learned these lessons slowly, passing them from one pair of hands to another. Some knowledge is written in books. Other knowledge is written in the soil. You lift your woven willow basket from its hook beside the garden gate. It is light now, almost weightless. By the time you return, it will carry the morning's harvest. The basket itself has served the castle for many years. Its smooth willow strips curve gracefully around one another, forming a pattern both sturdy and beautiful. One handle bears a slight bend where countless hands have carried it through countless seasons. You find comfort in such familiar objects, they ask for little. Only careful use and an occasional repair. Your first stop is the lettuce bed. The broad green leaves spread outward like open hands, catching the sunlight with quiet confidence. You kneel beside the largest head and examine it carefully. The leaves are crisp, bright, unmarked by insects. Just the right size. With a small garden knife, you cut the stem cleanly near the ground. The lettuce settles gently into your basket. One by one, you gather several more. Not too many, only what the kitchen will need today. Fresh vegetables are always best when harvested shortly before they are prepared. There is no reason to take more than the castle can enjoy before tomorrow's sunrise. The garden teaches moderation as naturally as it teaches patience. Nearby, rows of onions sway gently in the breeze. Their slender green tops ripple almost like waves upon a quiet pond. You loosen the soil around each bulb with your fingers before lifting it carefully from the earth. As each onion emerges, tiny roots carry clinging bits of dark soil. You brush away only the largest pieces, leaving the rest to dry naturally. Nothing about the process is hurried. The onions have waited months beneath the ground. A few extra moments make no difference. Their gentle scent rises into the warm air. Strong enough to notice. Soft enough not to overwhelm the fragrances of thyme and rosemary drifting from the nearby herb beds. Beyond the onions grows a patch of carrots. Most of the carrot remains hidden below the surface. Only delicate green leaves reveal where each root has quietly grown. You grasp the tops firmly. With one slow pull, the first carrot slides free. Bright orange, long and straight, still cool from the surrounding earth. A faint dusting of soil clings to its skin. You smile. There is always a small feeling of satisfaction in harvesting carrots. Until they leave the ground, their true shape remains a gentle mystery. No two are exactly alike. Some grow perfectly straight. Others curve gracefully around hidden stones beneath the soil. Each carries its own quiet story. You place them carefully beside the onions. The basket begins to grow pleasantly heavy. Nearby, broad cabbage leaves form neat green circles across the garden. Tiny drops of water still linger deep between their tightly folded leaves, protected from the morning sun. You inspect each one carefully. The healthiest heads remain where they are, needing only a little more time. One particularly fine cabbage, however, is ready. Its outer leaves wrap tightly around a firm heart. With a careful cut, you free it from the earth. Its weight surprises you slightly. Healthy soil always rewards patient care. As you continue your harvest, familiar sounds drift across the castle grounds. Somewhere beyond the walls, sheep bleat softly from distant pastures. A horse nickers from the stable yard. The rhythmic clink of the blacksmith's hammer continues steadily, though never loudly enough to disturb the peace. From an open window comes the faint laughter of two kitchen maids preparing the day's work. It is not boisterous laughter. Only the easy conversation of people who have worked beside one another for many years. The castle is alive now. Not with excitement, but with quiet purpose. Every person contributes something. The baker shapes loaves. The cooper repairs barrels. The miller grinds grain. The seamstress mends worn clothing. The gardener gathers today's harvest. None of these tasks seeks glory, yet together they create the gentle rhythm of daily life. You move toward the rows of beans climbing their wooden poles. The vines have grown steadily through the warmth of early summer. Tender green pods hang among broad leaves, hidden like little treasures waiting to be discovered. You gather only the longest pods, leaving the younger ones to mature for another day. Nature rarely asks for everything at once. Instead, it offers its gifts little by little, enough for today, more for tomorrow. The lesson is quiet, yet generous. Near the edge of the garden, a patch of peas catches your attention. The vines curl delicately around their woven supports. Tiny white blossoms still bloom among the growing pods. You open one pod carefully. Inside rest 6 small peas, perfectly round and bright green. You cannot resist tasting one. It is sweet, fresh, cool from the morning air. A simple pleasure known to gardeners in every age. No grand feast could improve upon the taste of something eaten only moments after leaving the vine. You savor the moment before placing the remaining peas into your basket. The fragrance of herbs grows stronger as you approach the final part of your morning harvest. The cook has requested rosemary, parsley, sage, and a handful of fresh thyme for today's meal. You harvest them gently, never stripping an entire plant, only taking what is needed. The herbs respond well to thoughtful pruning. By removing a few stems, you encourage healthy new growth. Gardening often reminds you that careful giving allows life to flourish. The basket is nearly full now. Bright carrots, firm onions, tender beans. Fresh peas, a heavy cabbage, crisp lettuce, bundles of fragrant herbs tied neatly with soft twine. The colors seem especially vivid beneath the late morning sunlight. Deep green, golden brown, silvery sage, bright orange. Soft purple blossoms still clinging to a sprig of lavender tucked among the herbs. You lift the basket. Its pleasant weight settles comfortably against your arm. This weight is not a burden. It is evidence of many quiet mornings spent tending the soil. Evidence that patience, repeated day after day, eventually becomes abundance. The walk from the garden to the castle kitchens is short. The stone path curves gently past the well and beneath a wooden arch where climbing roses have begun opening their pale pink blossoms. Their fragrance mingles with the warm scent of baking bread drifting through the open kitchen door. The aroma welcomes you long before you reach the building. Fresh loaves have just been removed from the great oven. The smell of warm wheat fills the courtyard. Mixed with it comes the comforting scent of simmering broth, onions gently cooking in iron pots, and herbs already beginning to flavor the day's meal. As you step through the wide kitchen doorway, the room feels pleasantly warm. Sunlight pours through high windows, catching tiny wisps of flour floating gently through the air. Large wooden tables stand ready for the day's work. Copper pots hang from sturdy hooks. Bundles of dried herbs decorate the ceiling beams, quietly swaying whenever someone passes beneath them. The castle cook looks up from a chopping board and smiles warmly. No grand words are needed. You have shared this morning ritual hundreds of times. You simply place the basket upon the table. Together, you admire the harvest. The cook lifts a carrot, examines the cabbage, breathes deeply of the rosemary, nods with quiet satisfaction. Everything is fresh. Everything is ready. Soon these simple vegetables will become nourishing soups, hearty stews, fresh salads, and warm loaves flavored with herbs from the very garden you have just tended. Within a few hours, Nearly everyone inside the castle, from the lord at the high table to the youngest stable apprentice, will eat food that began its journey beneath the morning sun only a short while ago. There is a quiet joy in knowing this. Your name may never appear in the castle's records. No bard will compose songs about today's basket of vegetables. Yet your work will become part of every shared meal. It will strengthen tired hands, comfort weary travelers, nourish growing children. Sometimes the most meaningful contributions are also the quietest. The cook thanks you with a gentle smile and hands you a small piece of still warm bread. Its crust lightly crisp and its center wonderfully soft. You step back into the courtyard. The bread is simple. No butter, no honey, only freshly baked grain. Still, it tastes extraordinary. Perhaps because it has been earned through an honest morning's work. Perhaps because the warm sun, the cool breeze, and the peaceful garden have made every ordinary thing seem just a little more precious. You sit for a moment on the low stone wall beside the fountain, listening to the gentle trickle of water and the distant songs of birds. The busiest part of the morning is now behind you. The gardens have been watered, the herbs carefully tended, the orchard inspected, the harvest safely delivered. Ahead lies the quiet warmth of the afternoon, when the great oak will cast its broad shade across the grass, inviting you to rest for a little while beneath its ancient branches, just as generations of gardeners have done before you. The morning has slowly given way to afternoon. The castle no longer feels as sleepy as it did at dawn. Gentle sounds now drift through the courtyards with comforting regularity. A cot rolls across worn cobblestones. Somewhere near the stable, a horse shakes its mane, causing its harness to jingle softly. From an open kitchen window comes the faint clatter of wooden bowls being washed after the midday meal. Yet here in the gardens, time seems to move a little differently. The world remains unhurried. The sun has climbed high enough to warm the ancient stone walls, and they now release a gentle heat into the surrounding air. Butterflies wander lazily above the flower beds, moving without any destination that a person could understand. You carry your empty basket back along the familiar garden path. Without the weight of fresh vegetables, it feels almost feather-light upon your arm. Today's harvest has already found its way into the kitchen. The herbs have been carefully tied into neat bundles. The lettuces have been washed in cool spring water. The carrots and onions now wait beside simmering pots, ready to become part of the evening meal. For now, there is nothing that asks for your immediate attention. Gardening is not constant labor. It is a conversation with nature. Sometimes you work. Sometimes you simply observe. And knowing the difference is part of becoming a good gardener. You walk toward the great oak that stands near the center of the grounds. It has become something of a companion over the years. Every season changes its appearance. In spring, delicate green buds slowly unfold into fresh leaves. Summer covers its branches with deep green shade. Autumn paints the canopy in warm shades of amber, copper, and gold. Winter leaves behind only strong branches reaching quietly toward pale skies. Yet through every season, the tree remains. Patient, steady, faithful. Its trunk is broad enough that 3 grown men together would struggle to encircle it with their arms. Its bark is rough beneath your fingertips, deeply furrowed by centuries of slow growth. Each crack tells a story written not in words, but in time itself. You often wonder what this tree has witnessed. Perhaps Perhaps young knights once practiced sword drills beneath its branches. Perhaps children played games around its roots while their parents worked nearby. Perhaps an elderly gardener, many generations ago, rested exactly where you are about to sit. The oak remembers all of them. Trees have a different understanding of time than people do. Where a person measures years, an old oak measures centuries. You settle onto the cool grass beneath its wide canopy. The shade is welcome after the growing warmth of the day. Sunlight filters gently through thousands of leaves overhead, creating shifting patterns upon the ground. As the breeze moves through the branches, those patterns drift slowly across the grass like quiet waves upon a peaceful sea. You lean comfortably against the trunk. The bark feels solid and reassuring behind your back. For a few moments, you simply listen. The leaves whisper softly, not loudly enough to interrupt your thoughts, only enough to remind you that the wind is passing gently through the world. Some believe every tree has its own voice. Perhaps they are right. No two trees sound exactly alike. The oak speaks with a deep, slow rustle. The willow beside the stream whispers more softly. The tall pines beyond the castle walls sing in longer, steadier notes whenever stronger winds arrive. Nature has many languages. One simply needs enough quiet to hear them. Nearby, a squirrel races confidently along one of the lower branches before pausing to examine you. Its tiny paws hold an acorn almost too large for its small body. For several heartbeats, it watches with bright, curious eyes. Finding nothing alarming, it continues its journey upward until it disappears among the leaves. The castle's squirrels have grown accustomed to your presence. They know you are more interested in growing food than chasing woodland creatures. A gentle hum fills the warm afternoon air. The bees continue their patient work among the flowering herbs nearby. Their rhythm has hardly changed since morning. Flower after flower, garden after garden. Each tiny journey helps shape the harvest that will come months from now. It is remarkable how much of the future depends upon such quiet effort. You close your eyes for a moment. Not to sleep, only to enjoy the sounds around you. A distant dove calls from somewhere beyond the orchard. The fountain continues its gentle trickling. Far across the valley, the faint ringing of sheep bells drifts on the breeze. Somewhere high above, hidden by bright sunlight, a skylark sings while circling almost invisibly in the blue sky. None of these sounds compete with one another. Instead, they settle together into a peaceful harmony. It is the music of an ordinary afternoon. You reach into the small leather pouch at your belt and remove the piece of bread the cook gave you earlier. It is still pleasantly soft. Breaking off a small piece, you enjoy its simple flavor. Nothing has been added. Only flour, water, salt, and careful hands. Yet after a morning spent working outdoors, it tastes richer than any feast enjoyed without appetite. You eat slowly. There is no need to hurry. The afternoon stretches comfortably ahead. As you finish your meal, a cool breeze passes through the oak once again. Several leaves drift gently downward, spinning lazily before settling upon the grass. One lands quietly beside your boot. It is perfectly green. Healthy. Sometimes even healthy leaves choose to let go a little early. Nature is never perfectly predictable. That is part of its quiet charm. Looking upward through the branches, you notice patches of bright blue sky framed by moving leaves. Small white clouds drift overhead, carried by winds too high to be felt from where you sit. Their shapes change almost without notice. A castle tower rises beyond the edge of the canopy. From this angle, it seems as though the ancient stones and the living branches have grown together. The tower reaches upward through human effort. The tree reaches upward through nature. Both have stood here for generations. Both quietly endure. A dragonfly suddenly darts across the garden. Its transparent wings catch the sunlight like tiny pieces of polished glass. It pauses for a heartbeat above the fountain before disappearing toward the reeds beside the small pond beyond the orchard. Dragonflies have always fascinated you. They seem to move with effortless confidence, changing direction in an instant while never appearing hurried. Their brief lives remind you that beauty does not depend upon length. Some of nature's finest moments last only a little while. The afternoon grows warmer. The fragrance of roses begins drifting through the garden. Unlike the fresh scent of herbs in the morning, roses seem to reserve their richest perfume for the warmth of the day. The breeze carries hints of lavender, thyme, and blooming honeysuckle as well. The entire garden feels wrapped in gentle sweetness. You breathe deeply once more. Every season has its own fragrance. Spring smells of fresh earth and blossoms. Summer brings herbs, flowers, and warm grass. Autumn carries ripe apples and fallen leaves. Winter offers wood smoke and crisp, cold air. Each season leaves its memory not only in the eyes, but also in the nose. Perhaps that is why certain scents can carry us back across many years in a single breath. A pair of swallows swoops low over the grass, chasing tiny insects stirred by the afternoon warmth. Their graceful flight seems almost playful. Without stopping, they twist around the branches of the oak before soaring toward the castle roofs. Somewhere beneath the shade, a tiny field mouse ventures briefly from its hidden burrow. Its whiskers twitch as it searches for fallen seeds. Finding what it needs, it quickly disappears once more beneath the roots. The oak supports an entire little world, birds above, mice below, insects among the bark, squirrels in the branches, moss upon the roots. And today, one quiet gardener resting peacefully in its shade. You realize how fortunate you are to know this place so well. Many people see only the castle's high walls, its towers, and its noble halls. Few notice the gentle life unfolding in the gardens each day. Yet it is here, among the flowers, herbs, trees, and birds, that the castle seems most alive. You rise slowly, brushing a few blades of grass from your tunic. The brief rest has refreshed both body and mind. The afternoon still holds several gentle tasks before evening arrives. The roses near the chapel will soon need careful pruning. A few climbing vines require guidance along their wooden trellises. Fresh flowers must be gathered for the ladies' chambers and the small stone chapel before sunset. There is no rush. There never is. The garden has taught you that every task has its proper moment, and this quiet afternoon belongs to flowers. With one last grateful glance toward the great oak, whose broad branches continue to sway gently against the bright summer sky, you pick up your basket once more and begin walking toward the castle's flower garden, where blossoms of every color wait patiently beneath the warm afternoon sun. The afternoon sun hangs gently above the castle, its light softened by a few slow-moving clouds that drift lazily across the summer sky. The warmth is comfortable now, not the fierce heat of midsummer, but the pleasant warmth that encourages flowers to open fully and fill the air with their quiet perfume. You leave the comforting shade of the great oak behind and follow a narrow stone path toward the castle's flower garden. Unlike the kitchen garden, where every plant serves the table, or the herb garden, where each leaf has its healing purpose, this garden exists for another kind of nourishment. It feeds the spirit. Its beauty asks for nothing in return. The flower garden rests beside the castle chapel, enclosed by low stone walls covered in climbing roses. The walls shelter the delicate blossoms from strong winds while allowing plenty of sunlight to reach every bed. Small gravel paths divide the garden into gentle patterns, leading visitors slowly from one corner to another. There is no straight road through this place. Every turn invites a new view. Every path encourages a slower pace. As you pass beneath the wooden archway, a familiar fragrance welcomes you. The scent is soft and layered. Sweet roses mingle with the gentle perfume of lily. Violets grow quietly beneath taller plants, adding their delicate fragrance to the warm afternoon air. Somewhere nearby, honeysuckle climbs along a weathered trellis, filling the breeze with a sweetness that seems almost like honey itself. You pause for a moment, not because you must, simply because this garden always deserves a quiet greeting. The first bed belongs to the roses. Their blossoms range from creamy white to the palest pink, with deeper shades of crimson growing closer to the chapel wall. Each variety blooms in its own time, ensuring that the garden remains colorful through much of the summer. Some flowers are fully open, offering their golden centers to visiting bees. Others remain tightly folded, waiting patiently for tomorrow's sunshine. A few petals have already begun to fall. They drift gently onto the gravel below, creating a soft carpet of color. You kneel beside one of the oldest rose bushes. Its branches have grown strong over many years, yet they still require careful guidance. With a small pair of iron pruning shears, you remove a faded blossom. Just one, then another. The cuts are small and thoughtful. Removing flowers that have finished blooming encourages the plant to direct its strength toward fresh blossoms still waiting to open. It is a quiet kind of kindness. Letting go of what has passed allows new beauty to arrive. As you work, you notice tiny drops of sunlight moving across the petals whenever the breeze stirs the branches overhead. The roses seem almost alive with light. Nearby, a honeybee settles gently upon a crimson bloom. It disappears so completely among the petals that only the gentle vibration of the flower reveals its presence. After a few peaceful moments, it emerges dusted with golden pollen before floating onward to another blossom. You smile softly. The bees have become trusted companions over the years. Their visits are as much a part of the garden as the flowers themselves. Without them, many blossoms would remain only flowers. With them, they become seeds. And with seeds comes another season. The cycle continues quietly, just as it always has. You continue along the winding path until you reach a bed of lily. Their tall stems rise proudly above the surrounding flowers. Cream-colored blossoms face the sky, their graceful petals curling gently outward. The fragrance is richer here, warm, sweet, elegant. It lingers in the still afternoon air without ever becoming overwhelming. The lady of the castle has always favored lily. Several fresh blooms are placed each week within her private chamber. Their beauty is admired not because it lasts forever, but because it does not. Flowers remind everyone that even the most beautiful moments are meant to be enjoyed while they bloom. You select only a few. The finest blossoms remain where they are, continuing to brighten the garden. Those you gather are cut carefully with long stems and placed gently into your basket, where a damp linen cloth keeps them cool. Every flower deserves gentle handling. Beauty, after all, can be surprisingly delicate. A pair of butterflies dances above the lily. One is bright yellow, the other almost white. They circle one another in slow spirals before drifting toward a patch of lavender growing near the chapel steps. Their wings catch the sunlight with every graceful movement. Watching them feels almost like watching petals carried by the breeze. You have never known where butterflies go after leaving the garden. Perhaps they simply follow the flowers wherever they bloom. Near the chapel wall grows a row of lavender taller than the plants in the herb garden. Here it is valued not for medicine, but for its color and fragrance. The purple blossoms sway together like gentle waves across a peaceful sea. You brush your fingertips lightly across one stem. The familiar scent rises immediately. It reminds you of quiet evenings, clean linen, and warm summer winds drifting through open windows. Several monks from the nearby priory occasionally visit the castle to tend the chapel. They often pause here before entering, breathing deeply of the lavender as though preparing their minds for peaceful prayer. Perhaps gardens offer their own kind of silence, not empty silence, living silence. The sort that fills the heart rather than leaving it empty. The gravel path curves gently toward a small stone bench tucked beneath an arbor covered in climbing roses. This is one of your favorite places in the entire castle. Few people visit during the afternoon. Most remain busy with their duties indoors. Here, only birds, bees, and the occasional butterfly share the quiet. You sit for a few moments. The bench has grown smooth from many years of use. Its cool stone offers welcome relief from the warmth of the day. Above your head, roses form a living ceiling of green leaves and pale blossoms. Sunlight filters through the vines in soft patches that drift slowly across the ground. Somewhere nearby, water trickles gently from a small fountain shaped like a simple stone bowl. Unlike the larger fountain in the herb garden, this one whispers rather than sings. Its quiet voice seems perfectly suited to this peaceful place. A robin lands upon the edge of the fountain. It dips its tiny beak into the water before lifting its head to swallow. A few droplets sparkle briefly in the sunlight. Then the bird flies away, disappearing among the roses. You remain seated. There is no need to hurry. Good gardeners understand that resting is also part of caring for the garden. When the hands become still, the eyes begin to notice more. You observe a spider carefully repairing its web between two rose stems. Each strand catches the afternoon light like the finest thread of silver. The web must have been disturbed by the morning breeze, yet the spider works without frustration. Patiently, methodically, one strand at a time. It reminds you once again that much of nature's work is accomplished through quiet persistence rather than great effort. The afternoon slowly begins its gentle journey toward evening. The sunlight softens almost without notice. Shadows lengthen across the gravel paths. The fragrance of roses grows deeper as the warmth begins to fade. You rise from the bench and gather the final flowers needed for the castle. A small bundle of lavender, several white lily, a handful of pale pink roses, a few cheerful daisies growing near the edge of the path. Each blossom is chosen with care, not because the castle demands perfection, but because beauty deserves attention. Your basket is light compared to the one you carried from the vegetable garden earlier. Flowers weigh very little, yet somehow they seem to carry something far greater than their size. A room becomes warmer with fresh blossoms upon the table. A chapel feels more welcoming. Even a simple window seems brighter when framed by flowers gathered that very afternoon. As you leave the flower garden, you glance back one last time. The bees continue their gentle work. The butterflies drift from bloom to bloom. The roses sway softly beneath the summer breeze. Nothing asks to be remembered. Nothing seeks recognition. The garden simply continues being beautiful, whether anyone watches or not. You step onto the stone path leading back toward the heart of the castle. The afternoon is beginning to mellow into the peaceful light of early evening. Soon the sun will lower toward the western hills, painting the towers in warm shades of amber and gold. There are only a few quiet tasks left before the day comes to its gentle close. Lanterns will be lit, garden gates will be fastened. The birds will sing their final songs before settling into their nests. And as twilight spreads slowly across the ancient walls, the castle will once again prepare for the calm embrace of another peaceful night. The afternoon drifts quietly toward evening. It happens so gently that, for a long while, it is almost impossible to notice. The bright blue of the sky softens into a paler shade. The warmth of the sun becomes kinder, no longer resting heavily upon the earth but wrapping the castle in a comfortable glow. The shadows grow longer. The towers stretch across the gardens like gentle guardians, their outlines reaching farther over the grass with every passing moment. You leave the flower garden carrying your small basket of blossoms. The roses, lily, lavender, and daisies sway softly with each step. Their fragrances mingle together, creating a peaceful perfume that follows you along the winding stone path. The castle has entered its quieter hours. Most of the day's busiest work has already been completed. The blacksmith's hammer, which rang steadily throughout the morning, now falls only occasionally. The kitchen fires continue to burn, though the great rush of preparing the midday meal has passed. Servants speak more softly as they carry wooden bowls and polished cups toward the great hall. Somewhere in the stable, horses chew contentedly on fresh hay. The entire castle seems to breathe more slowly. You stop first at the small stone chapel. Its oak door stands slightly open, allowing cool air to drift inside. Near the front stands a small wooden table waiting for fresh flowers. You carefully arrange the white lily in a simple clay vase. Beside them, you place several pale pink roses and a few sprigs of lavender. There is no elaborate design. Nature has already done the difficult work. Your task is simply to allow the flowers to speak for themselves. You step back for a moment. The blossoms brighten the little chapel without overwhelming its simplicity. Sometimes beauty is most powerful when it asks for very little. Satisfied, you quietly leave, gently pulling the heavy wooden door until it rests softly against the stone frame. Outside, the afternoon light has grown even warmer. The castle walls seem almost golden now. Tiny swallows sweep gracefully through the open sky, their swift wings catching the last bright sunlight of the day. You continue toward the ladies' chambers. A maid welcomes the basket of flowers with a grateful smile. She places the roses into polished earthenware already filled with cool water drawn from the well earlier that afternoon. Soon their fragrance will drift gently through the chamber, greeting anyone who enters. The lavender she carefully ties into small bundles, placing them beside folded linen that will scent the room for many evenings to come. Your basket is nearly empty now. Only one small daisy remains. You tuck it gently beside the kitchen doorway where everyone passing in and out may enjoy its cheerful bloom. Even the simplest flower can brighten an ordinary day. Leaving the castle buildings behind once more, you return to the gardens. The evening air has become wonderfully pleasant. A gentle breeze carries the scent of warm grass, herbs, and distant fields where farmers finish gathering the final bundles of hay before nightfall. Beyond the castle walls, you hear the faint creak of wooden wagon wheels making their slow journey home. The day's work is ending not only here, but throughout the valley. The vegetable garden greets you with quiet familiarity. The plants seem almost aglow beneath the gentle evening light. Cabbage leaves reflect shades of silver and green. The bean vines cast delicate shadows across the soil. Rows of onions stand peacefully, their slender leaves no longer stirred by the stronger breezes of morning. You kneel beside the young lettuces. The soil remains pleasantly moist from the watering you gave them at dawn. There is no need for more today. Instead, you simply inspect each bed. A tiny weed has appeared between 2 rows of carrots. You remove it carefully. A broken bean vine has slipped from its wooden support. You gently guide it back into place. One broad cabbage leaf has been nibbled by a caterpillar. You lift the little visitor onto a nearby patch of wild plants beyond the garden wall, where it may continue its meal without troubling the vegetables. The garden has enough for everyone when cared for thoughtfully. As you stand once more, you brush a little soil from your hands. The scent of earth lingers pleasantly upon your fingertips. It is a scent that has become part of your life. Some people carry the smell of horses, others of fresh bread or warm iron. Gardeners often carry the quiet fragrance of growing things. You follow the familiar path toward the orchard. The trees are peaceful now. Their leaves shimmer softly whenever the breeze stirs them. Golden sunlight slips between the branches, painting long patterns across the grass below. A family of rabbits emerges cautiously from beneath a hedge. They nibble clover near the oldest apple tree, their ears turning at every distant sound. Seeing you, they pause only briefly before continuing their meal. They have learned that your slow footsteps bring no danger. High above, the sparrows are returning to their nests. Their busy chatter has changed. Morning songs welcome the day. Evening calls gather families together before darkness arrives. One by one, the little birds disappear among the leaves until only their soft voices remain. You pause beneath the ancient apple tree once again. The small green fruit catches the golden light beautifully. Still weeks from ripening, each apple quietly promises the harvest that autumn will bring patience. The orchard has taught you that lesson every year. Some rewards cannot be hurried. They arrive exactly when they are ready. A deep, mellow note rolls across the valley. The castle bell. Its evening ring tells everyone that sunset is approaching. The sound echoes gently from the hills before fading into silence. For a moment, the entire countryside seems to pause and listen. The birds grow quieter, even the breeze feels softer. You begin your final walk around the gardens. The herb beds look healthy. Lavender sways gently beside rosemary. The mint releases its cool fragrance whenever your boots brush lightly against the edge of its bed. The fountain continues its endless song, the water catching the amber light of the lowering sun. You bend to close the small wooden gate leading into the herb garden. Its iron latch slips easily into place with a familiar click. The vegetables are safe for the night. Nearby, you check the simple fence surrounding the orchard. Everything remains secure. Not because danger often comes, but because careful habits are among a gardener's greatest tools. Small daily tasks prevent larger troubles. As you finish, the sky begins changing once again. The bright gold deepens into rich amber. Hints of rose and lavender spread across the western horizon. Thin clouds glow softly, their edges touched with warm light before slowly fading into gentle shades of violet. The first evening star appears above the eastern tower. It is small, steady, easy to miss unless one happens to be looking. You always notice it. It feels like an old friend greeting another peaceful evening. The air cools little by little. The fragrance of roses grows richer as daylight fades. Nearby, crickets begin their quiet evening chorus, each tiny voice joining another until the gardens seem wrapped in a blanket of gentle music. The fountain continues to murmur. Leaves whisper softly overhead. A dove offers one last peaceful call before settling into the branches of the great oak. You take one slow breath, then another. The day's work is complete. Nothing has been rushed. Nothing has been left undone. The herbs have been watered. The vegetables gathered. The flowers shared. The orchard inspected. The paths walked. The gates secured. The gardens now prepare to rest beneath the coming night, just as they have rested after thousands of evenings before this one. With the last rays of sunlight slipping behind the distant hills, you turn toward your little cottage. A warm glow already shines faintly through its small window. Soon a lantern will be lit. The fire will be gently stirred back to life. Outside, the castle will settle into silence beneath a sky slowly filling with stars. And there, in the peaceful embrace of evening, another quiet day will come to its gentle and satisfying end. The last light of the sun slips quietly beyond the western hills. For a few lingering moments, the sky holds on to the day's farewell. Bands of soft amber melt into shades of rose, then lavender, and finally the deep blue that belongs only to the first hours of night. The ancient castle stands peacefully against the evening sky. Its gray stone walls, bright with sunlight only an hour ago, now soften into cool shades of silver. The highest tower catches the final ray of daylight. Then, almost without notice, it too becomes part of the gathering dusk. You pause beside the garden gate. The familiar wooden latch rests beneath your hand. Before leaving for the evening, you take one final look across the gardens. The vegetable beds lie quietly beneath the fading light. The broad cabbage leaves no longer shine. Instead, they appear soft and calm beneath the deepening sky. The herbs release their richest fragrance as the warmth of the day slowly escapes from the earth. Lavender, rosemary, mint, and thyme seem almost to breathe together in the cool evening air. It is a scent that belongs only to this peaceful hour. The bees have finished their work. Nature also knows when it is time to rest. The birds understand this as well. The lively songs that welcome sunrise have faded into occasional quiet calls. A robin offers a final melody from the top of the old stone wall. Somewhere deep within the orchard, an owl awakens. Its low, gentle hoot rolls softly through the gathering darkness. Night creatures now begin their own quiet day. You begin walking toward your little cottage. The path is easy to follow, even as shadows deepen. Every stone, every bend, every old tree has become familiar through years of gentle repetition. You hardly need to think about where your feet should go. Sometimes the body remembers what the mind no longer notices. As you pass the fountain, you stop for one final moment. The water continues its endless journey. It flowed before you were born. It will continue flowing long after today's footsteps have faded from memory. You dip your fingers into the cool basin once more. The water feels colder now than it did beneath the afternoon sun. Tiny circles spread outward across its surface before disappearing into stillness. The moon has begun to rise. It is nearly full tonight. Its pale light reflects gently upon the fountain, turning ordinary water into shimmering silver. You smile quietly. The garden wears different kinds of beauty depending upon the hour. Morning belongs to dew. Afternoon belongs to flowers. Night belongs to moonlight. The great oak waits peacefully beside the path. Its enormous branches stretch across the darkening sky. During the day, its leaves whispered in the wind. Now they hardly move at all. The tree seems almost asleep. Only the occasional rustle reminds you that a gentle breeze still drifts through its highest branches. Somewhere above, hidden among the leaves, a small family of birds settles deeper into their nest. The young chicks, so hungry only hours ago, now rest beneath the warm shelter of their parents' wings. You continue toward the cottage. Smoke rises gently from a few chimneys throughout the castle grounds. Evening meals are nearly finished. Families gather together inside warm homes. Laughter drifts faintly through open windows before disappearing into the cool night air. The scent of wood smoke mingles with the fragrance of herbs carried from the gardens. It is one of your favorite scents. Simple, comforting, timeless. Far across the courtyard, several servants carry lanterns from one building to another. Each small flame creates a warm circle of golden light against the growing darkness. The lanterns sway gently as they walk. For a moment, they resemble tiny stars moving slowly across the earth. The castle guard begins his nightly watch. His footsteps echo softly along the battlements overhead. Unlike the hurried marching of soldiers during troubled times, these footsteps are calm and steady. One measured pace after another. His quiet presence offers reassurance rather than alarm. Inside the stable, the horses have settled for the night. You pause briefly near the doorway. Several horses lift their heads as you pass. One chestnut mare gives a slow, contented snort before returning to her evening hay. The stable smells pleasantly of fresh straw, warm wood, and clean leather. The familiar sounds of horses chewing hay create a gentle rhythm all their own. Even they seem to understand that the day is ending. Nearby, the blacksmith's forge has gone dark. Only a faint red glow remains beneath the ashes. The hammer that sang throughout the day now rests quietly upon the workbench. Tomorrow morning it will begin again, but not tonight. Every craft deserves its moment of stillness. At last, you arrive at your cottage. The little wooden door opens with its familiar creak. Inside, the room welcomes you with quiet simplicity. The air still carries the fragrance of dried lavender hanging from the ceiling beams. Bundles of sage, rosemary, and thyme rest upon their shelves exactly where you left them. Everything is neat. Everything is peaceful. You kneel beside the hearth. The fire has nearly gone out, leaving only a few glowing embers hidden beneath soft gray ash. With practiced care, you place a few dry twigs across the coals. A gentle breath, a tiny spark, soon a small flame appears. Not large enough to fill the room with heat, only enough to offer warmth during the cool evening hours. The fire crackles softly. Its light dances across the timber walls, filling the cottage with a gentle amber glow. You hang your cloak upon its wooden peg beside the door. Your boots rest neatly near the hearth. The day's work has ended. You fill a small clay kettle with fresh water collected from the well. Soon it begins to warm above the little fire. Into a wooden cup, you place a few dried chamomile flowers gathered earlier in the summer. A small sprig of mint follows. As the hot water is poured gently over them, the room fills with a soothing herbal fragrance. You cradle the warm cup between your hands. Outside, darkness settles completely across the valley. The moon now shines high above the castle towers. Stars begin appearing one by one across the clear summer sky. No lamps brighten the distant countryside. No roads glow with lanterns stretching toward the horizon. The night belongs almost entirely to the heavens. Looking through your small window, you can see more stars than most people in your own time may ever witness. They seem endless, silent, patient. The same stars watched over the gardeners who came before you. The same stars will watch over those who follow. There is comfort in that thought. Some things remain unchanged through every generation, the turning of the seasons, the growing of gardens, the rising of the moon, the quiet work of ordinary people whose names history may never record, yet whose hands quietly shape the lives of everyone around them. You finish the last sip of your warm tea. The fire burns gently. The cottage grows pleasantly warm. Outside, the crickets continue their evening song. An owl calls once more from the woods beyond the orchard. The castle has grown wonderfully quiet now. Its halls, busy with footsteps only hours ago, have settled into peaceful silence. Tomorrow will bring another sunrise. Another walk through dew-covered gardens, another basket of vegetables. Another chorus of birds greeting the dawn. Life here does not seek constant excitement. Instead, it offers something quieter, something steadier. A life measured not by hurried moments, but by seasons, sunlight, growing things, and simple acts of care. You extinguish the lanthorn. Only the soft glow of the hearth remains. The moonlight slips gently through the little window, resting upon the wooden floor like a silver blanket. You lie down upon your simple straw bed. The wool blanket settles comfortably over you. Your hands, pleasantly tired from a day spent tending the earth, finally become still. Outside, the castle sleeps. The gardens rest beneath the moon. The orchard dreams quietly beneath its ancient trees. The fountain continues its gentle song. And above them all, beneath a sky filled with countless stars, another peaceful day in the life of a medieval castle gardener comes softly to its close. The fire has settled into a quiet glow. Only a few gentle flames remain, rising now and then from the glowing embers before folding softly back into the warmth of the hearth. Their light flickers across the timber walls, painting slow-moving patterns that seem almost to breathe with the peaceful rhythm of the cottage. Outside, the night has fully embraced the castle. The day's voices have faded. The footsteps in the courtyards have become rare. Even the watchman upon the walls walks with slower, quieter steps, careful not to disturb the deep calm that has settled over the ancient stones. You remain awake for just a little while longer, not because there is more work to do, only because evenings like this invite quiet reflection. You lift the small wooden latch and gently open the cottage door. Cool night air greets you immediately. It carries with it the fresh scent of grass still holding the day's warmth, mingled with lavender from the nearby herb beds and the faint sweetness of roses that continue to bloom beneath the moonlight. The moon now hangs high above the valley. Its pale silver light washes gently across the castle. The walls that appeared strong and imposing during daylight now seem almost gentle. The sharp edges of towers soften beneath the moon's quiet glow. Every shadow feels calm rather than mysterious. Every corner of the garden rests peacefully beneath its silvery light. You step outside. The grass beneath your boots feels cool once again. Tiny beads of dew have already begun returning to the leaves, preparing another sparkling welcome for tomorrow's sunrise. The air is wonderfully still. Only the occasional breeze stirs the branches of the great oak. Its leaves whisper softly overhead, sounding almost like distant waves upon a quiet shore. You begin walking slowly along the garden path. There is no lantern tonight. The moon offers more than enough light. Your eyes have grown accustomed to the darkness, and the familiar paths need little guidance. Every turn is known. Every stone remembered. The herb garden lies peacefully before you. Lavender appears almost silver beneath the moonlight. The narrow leaves catch the pale glow, making each plant seem softly illuminated from within. The rosemary casts tiny shadows across the soil. The mint, so lively during the day, now rests quietly beneath the cooling air. Flowers often close as night arrives. Their work is finished until morning. Just as people need sleep, gardens have their own time of rest. You pause beside the fountain. Its gentle voice has become even more noticeable now that the world around it has grown so quiet. Water slips steadily into the stone basin below. The surface reflects the moon so clearly that it almost seems as though another moon has settled within the fountain itself. A single leaf drifts gently onto the water. Small circles spread outward, carrying the reflected moon across the surface before it slowly becomes still again. You watch until the ripples disappear. There is something deeply comforting about water. It never rushes unless forced. Left to itself, it always finds the gentlest path. Perhaps people, too, are happiest when allowed to move through life with such quiet purpose. A soft flutter overhead catches your attention. A little brown bat glides silently across the garden. Its wings move with remarkable grace, though barely making a sound. Back and forth it flies, gathering tiny insects that dance invisibly through the night air. Few people notice bats. Yet they quietly care for the garden in their own way, just as the bees do during daylight. Every creature has its hour. Every hour belongs to someone. You continue toward the orchard. The apple trees stand motionless beneath the moon. Their leaves shimmer faintly whenever the breeze reaches them. The young apples are little more than dark silhouettes among the branches now, hidden by night, patiently waiting for the long weeks of summer still ahead. You rest your hand upon the old apple tree once again. Its bark feels cooler now than it did this afternoon. Solid, steady, timeless. How many moons has this tree watched rise? Hundreds, perhaps thousands. Long before the castle stood, this valley knew moonlit nights. Long after today's gardens have changed, the moon will continue its endless journey across the heavens. Some things ask nothing from us except that we notice them. You look upward. The sky stretches farther than words can describe. Without the bright lights of distant towns, the stars appear almost beyond counting. Thousands of tiny points of light scatter themselves across the heavens. Some shine brightly. Others barely whisper against the darkness. Together they form rivers of light flowing from one horizon to the other. People living in castles knew these stars well. Travelers found their way by them. Sailors trusted them upon distant seas. Farmers watched them while tending fields before sunrise. Children learned the stories hidden among their patterns. The stars became familiar companions to anyone willing to lift their eyes. You try to imagine the countless gardeners who walked these paths before you. Perhaps one paused exactly here. Perhaps another admired this same constellation on a summer evening centuries ago. Though their names have faded from memory, the stars remember. The earth remembers. The old oak remembers. History often celebrates kings, queens, and great battles. Yet most lives were lived quietly. Most people rose with the sun, worked with patient hands, shared simple meals. Loved their families, watched the seasons change. And at the end of each day, they rested beneath this same sky. There is something comforting in belonging to such an ordinary story. Ordinary does not mean unimportant. It simply means deeply human. A shooting star suddenly traces a brief silver line across the northern sky. It lasts only a heartbeat before disappearing. You smile. No wish comes to mind. The moment itself feels enough. Beauty does not always need to last. Sometimes its briefness is exactly what makes it precious. The night grows cooler. Mist begins gathering gently in the lower parts of the valley. The distant river becomes hidden beneath a thin white veil that glows softly beneath the moonlight. Only the tallest trees remain fully visible, their dark silhouettes rising above the mist like quiet islands upon a peaceful sea. From somewhere beyond the castle walls comes the gentle call of an owl. A second owl answers from deeper within the woods. For a few moments, they speak back and forth across the sleeping countryside. Then silence returns. You walk back toward the cottage at the same slow pace. The great oak watches over the garden, its branches outlined against a starlit sky. The fountain continues its endless song. The flowers rest. The vegetables wait quietly for another sunrise. Nothing asks for attention tonight. Everything is exactly as it should be. Reaching the cottage, you pause one final time before stepping inside. The little fire has become a bed of glowing embers once again. Their gentle warmth fills the room without effort. You close the door softly behind you. The familiar scent of dried herbs welcomes you home. Bundles of lavender hang peacefully from the rafters. Chamomile rests in woven baskets. Rosemary, thyme, mint, and sage line the wooden shelves, each carrying the memory of warm summer afternoons when they were carefully gathered. These herbs will comfort someone through the coming winter. Perhaps a child with a fever. Perhaps an elderly villager seeking restful sleep. Perhaps a weary traveler grateful for a warm cup of tea after many miles upon dusty roads. Even after the growing season ends, the garden continues caring for people. That thought brings quiet satisfaction. You settle onto your simple bed once more. The wool blanket feels comfortably warm. Outside, the stars continue their silent journey across the heavens. The castle sleeps peacefully. The valley dreams beneath silver moonlight. And somewhere beyond the ancient walls, tomorrow's sunrise is already making its patient journey toward another gentle morning. You close your eyes, knowing that when dawn finally returns, it will arrive just as faithfully as it always has, bringing with it birdsong, fresh dew, and another quiet day among the gardens of the medieval castle. At last, The night grows deep. The moon has crossed high above the castle, continuing its quiet journey toward the western horizon. The stars remain bright, scattered across the heavens like countless tiny lanterns, each shining with a calm certainty that has comforted travelers, shepherds, sailors, and gardeners for countless generations. Inside your little cottage, the fire has become only a bed of glowing embers. Their warm orange light fades little by little, asking for no more wood, content to rest until morning. The room is wonderfully still. The bundles of dried lavender hanging from the beams no longer sway. The small clay kettle rests quietly beside the hearth. Your gardening tools stand neatly where they belong, ready to greet another sunrise. Everything is exactly as it should be. Outside, the castle sleeps. The great hall, which echoed with voices during the day, has fallen silent. The kitchen fires have burned low. The baker has long since finished his work. The blacksmith's forge is dark. The stable hands have closed the heavy wooden doors. Only the gentle breathing of resting horses fills the warm stable. Even the castle guard upon the wall walks with the quiet confidence of someone who has made this journey many nights before. His lantern glows softly as he passes from one tower to the next. Its warm light appears briefly between the stone battlements before disappearing once more into the darkness. The castle trusts the night, and the night, in return, watches gently over the castle. You lie comfortably beneath your wool blanket. The straw mattress, simple though it may be, feels familiar after years of peaceful sleep. Your hands rest quietly. They have worked well today. They watered thirsty herbs, gathered fresh vegetables, pruned fragrant roses, walked beneath ancient apple trees, opened and closed wooden gates, carried water from the old stone well, touched the earth with patience and care. Now they ask only for rest. You notice your breathing. Slow, steady, easy. Much like the rhythm of the garden itself, the seasons have taught you something important. Nothing in nature is always growing. Nothing is always blooming. Nothing works without pause. The trees rest through winter. The fields lie quiet after harvest. The flowers close each evening. Even the birds fold their wings when darkness comes. Rest is not the opposite of work. It is part of the same gentle cycle. Without rest, tomorrow's sunrise could never be welcomed with fresh strength. Perhaps that is one of the oldest lessons hidden inside every garden. Just as it has for generations. Just as it will for generations yet to come. A gentle breeze slips through the tiny gap beneath the wooden shutters. It carries the cool scent of damp grass. Somewhere nearby, lavender releases one final breath of fragrance into the night air. The roses rest quietly beneath the moon. The herb beds wait patiently for another morning. The orchard dreams beneath its leafy canopy. Tiny drops of dew have begun gathering once more upon every leaf and blade of grass. Before dawn arrives, they will cover the gardens with thousands of sparkling jewels. You imagine tomorrow already beginning, not in a rush, not suddenly, but gently. The eastern sky will slowly brighten. The robin will sing the first notes of another morning. The bees will awaken inside their woven skeps. The fountain will greet the sunrise just as faithfully as it greeted today's. The castle cook will light the ovens. Fresh bread will begin to bake. Smoke will rise from the chimneys. The stable doors will open. The chapel bell will ring across the valley. And you will rise quietly once again. You will lace your boots, Drink cool water from the earthen jug. Open the little cottage door. Step into the cool morning air. Walk the familiar path through dew-covered grass. And begin another peaceful day among the gardens. Because this life is not built upon great adventures. It is built upon gentle mornings, upon familiar paths, upon caring for living things one day at a time. There is a quiet happiness in that. The world beyond the castle walls is changing. Kings may rise and fall. Roads may be built, villages may grow, children will become parents. Parents will become grandparents. The years will continue their endless procession. Yet every spring, seeds will still push through the soil. Every summer, bees will still visit flowers. Every autumn, apples will still ripen beneath the branches. Every winter, the earth will quietly gather its strength before beginning once more. The garden asks for no applause. Only patience. Only kindness. Only time. Perhaps that is why it has always felt like one of the most peaceful places in the world. You feel the warmth of your blanket, the softness of the pillow beneath your head, the quiet comfort of knowing that today's work has been completed with care. Nothing more is required. Nothing has been forgotten. The herbs have been watered. The vegetables harvested. The flowers arranged. The gates secured. The tools returned to their place. The garden rests. And so do you. Outside, the first faint hint of mist settles once more across the distant meadow. The stars continue their slow journey across the heavens. One by one, a few begin to fade as the night moves quietly toward another dawn still many hours away. The castle remains wrapped in peaceful silence. The old oak stands watch over sleeping birds. The orchard breathes gently beneath the moonlight. The fountain sings its endless lullaby. If you listen closely, you might almost imagine that the entire valley is breathing together. Slowly, calmly, peacefully. There is nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. Only this quiet moment. Only this peaceful night. And perhaps, somewhere beyond the little cottage window, a robin already dreams of tomorrow's first song. As your thoughts grow lighter and quieter, allow them to drift like clouds across a gentle summer sky. Leave behind the worries of distant places and distant times. Remain here for just a little longer in this medieval garden where each day unfolds with kindness. Each season brings its own quiet gifts, and every sunrise offers another chance to care for the earth. Thank you for walking these ancient paths. Thank you for pausing beside the old well, beneath the great oak, among the herbs, the orchard, and the roses. May the calm of these gardens stay with you long after this story ends. May your rest be as peaceful as the castle beneath the stars, and as the last embers fade softly into ash, as the fountain whispers through the sleeping garden, as the moon keeps watch above the ancient stone walls. The medieval castle dreams. The garden sleeps, the valley rests, and perhaps so do you.